And it lands a rapper in jail. 7 Sheldon Fox with the exclusive.
Rhode Island says you're wanted with a
Mr. Williams, you were arrested for pursuant to an arrest.
Buckle up, because this story didn't just take a left turn, it slammed the brakes and flipped the whole car. 1 minute, Pooh Shiesty is stepping out with FDO energy, chest out, aura loud, like the comeback was loading in real time.
I'm on these type shit like, who gives a... That's what you been waiting on. Well, all this, what you like,
we really live this we talk about, you hear me? We really live this stupid. You stupid or what? Go look at our video. Could see the last one standing, like I said.
The next minute, sirens, handcuffs, cameras, and fans watching a moment they swear they weren't ready to see. Pooh Shiesty in tears. Yeah, you heard that right. Not metaphorical tears. Not the streets crying, because how do you process a rapper pushing freedom narratives? Only to get arrested moments later, like the universe hit the delete key mid-song. This wasn't just bad timing. This felt cinematic, like a trailer where the victory speech gets interrupted by the cops before the beat even drops. And when footage surfaced of him visibly emotional, the timeline split in half. Some fans showed empathy, and plenty just stared at their screens whispering, "Nah, this can't be real." Was it pressure finally crashing down? Was it frustration boiling over? Or was this just another brutal reminder that freedom in rap culture comes with a countdown clock? Because when celebration turns into custody and confidence turns into tears, that's not just a headline. That's a scandal begging to be dissected. The shock didn't come from the arrest alone. It came from the timing, the symbolism, and the whiplash. Pooh Shiesty had just stepped back into the spotlight with FDO energy. It's a kind of track that sounds like a victory lap before the finish line even shows up. Freedom talk, survival bars, chest-out confidence. Then, almost immediately, the narrative snapped like a cheap chain. Sirens replaced applause. Celebration turned into custody. And the internet felt played by the universe itself. For fans who followed his story, this wasn't supposed to be the moment. FDO wasn't just a song. It was framed as a statement. A declaration that pressure didn't break him, that time didn't erase him, that the comeback was loading whether the world was ready or not. The release felt deliberate, almost ceremonial. Which is exactly why what happened next hit like a plot twist nobody ordered. When news spread that he was arrested shortly after, timelines froze. People refreshed feeds like the story might change if they stared hard enough. This wasn't some quiet paperwork situation either. It was public, messy, and instantly meme-ready. The contrast alone was enough to send shockwaves, freedom bars. That's when things shifted from disbelief to discomfort. Clips circulated showing Pooh Shiesty visibly emotional, eyes heavy, face tight, energy drained. Not the hardened image fans are used to seeing. Not the cold stare from music videos. This was raw, human, and painfully real. And the internet doesn't know how to handle vulnerability without turning it into entertainment. Before anyone could even confirm details, the reactions exploded. Supporters rushed in, framing the moment as pressure boiling over after years of legal stress. Others were far less gentle, turning tears into punchlines and jokes into viral clips. Sympathy and cruelty raced side by side, both feeding the algorithm like it was a competitive sport. What made it worse was how fast speculation replaced facts. People started narrating emotions like they were inside his head. That's regret, that's fear, that's reality hitting. Everyone suddenly became a body language expert with a PhD from TikTok University. The truth didn't matter as much as the story people wanted to tell. Context matters here. And Pooh Shiesty's history has always carried weight. His rise was fast, gritty, and unapologetic. Street-rooted lyrics, a reputation built on intensity, and a legal journey that's followed him like a shadow. Fans knew the pressure was real, but seeing it surface publicly cracked the myth of invincibility. The arrest narrative quickly fused with the song itself. People dissected FDO lyrics line by line, treating bars like prophecy instead of art. He was warning us. This was foreshadowing. Suddenly, the track wasn't music. It was evidence in the court of public opinion. Rap culture does this every time, confusing expression with confession when drama hits. Industry voices chimed in indirectly. Cryptic posts about cycles, timing, and prayers up flooded Instagram stories. No names mentioned, but the message was loud. When artists start posting vague captions during a scandal, you know the group chat is on fire behind the scenes. Meanwhile, fans debated what they were actually reacting to: the arrest, the crying, or the discomfort of seeing a rapper stripped of his armor in real time. Hip-hop has never been great at handling male vulnerability, especially when it clashes with street mythology. Tears don't trend well unless they can be mocked. The phrase "crying on camera" became the headline hook. And that alone says everything. Not arrested, not legal situation. The emotion became the story. Because humiliation travels faster than facts, and vulnerability gets eaten alive online before empathy even logs in. What got lost in the chaos was how brutally human the moment was. Legal pressure isn't cinematic. It doesn't come with background music or cool angles. It's heavy, exhausting, and isolating. And when it finally leaks out emotionally, it doesn't ask permission before doing so. As the first wave of reactions settled, one thing was undeniable. This wasn't just another rapper arrest headline. The timing turned it into a narrative collision. Freedom-themed music meeting the reality of restraint. Confidence crashing into consequence. That kind of contrast sticks in people's minds. And as fans argued, joked, defended, and dissected, the situation quietly escalated beyond a moment. Because once the internet decides your lowest point is content, there's no rewind button. The story had officially entered its next phase, and the fallout was just warming up. Once the footage spread, the internet didn't just react, it chose sides with the speed of a playoff draft. Sympathy posts and savage jokes started racing each other across timelines like two algorithms fighting for dominance. One minute it was pray for him. The next minute it was memes moving faster than legal paperwork. There was no middle ground, only extremes. Celebrity reactions slid in sideways. Never direct, never named. You know the type. Vague captions about pressure, mental health, and how fame ain't what it looks like. The timing alone made them loud. Fans read between the lines like it was a coded message meant for anyone paying attention. Silence wasn't golden. It was suspicious. Memes, though, carried the scandal into overdrive. Screenshots froze facial expressions into narratives that may or may not have been real. People turned seconds of footage into entire story arcs, labeling emotions like it was a courtroom drama. The internet loves nothing more than turning a human moment into a punchline with a caption. What really escalated things was how fast the crying narrative overtook everything else. Not the arrest details, not the legal process. The tears became the headline. In hip-hop culture, vulnerability is treated like a glitch in the system. Fans aren't conditioned to see it, so when it shows up, they don't know whether to empathize or roast. Supporters pushed back hard. They reminded everyone that pressure builds quietly and breaks loudly. Years of legal stress, public scrutiny, and expectations don't evaporate just because a song drops. To them, Those tears weren't weakness. They were reality leaking through the image. Critics weren't moved. They framed it as irony, karma, or consequences finally knocking. Some even treated it like performance, questioning whether the emotion was genuine or exaggerated by the moment. That skepticism spread fast, because the internet trusts cynicism more than sincerity. The song FDO suddenly became a character in the story. Lyrics were clipped, analyzed, and reinterpreted like they were courtroom transcripts. Bars meant for motivation got recast as foreshadowing. That's the trap artists fall into once drama hits. Art stops being art and turns into alleged evidence. Reaction channels ate it up. Every angle got a breakdown. Body language experts popped out of nowhere. Psychology buzzwords got tossed around freely. The moment wasn't being discussed, it was being dissected. And every new take added another layer of noise to an already chaotic narrative. What made the situation heavier was how familiar it felt. Fans have seen this cycle before. Comeback energy. Public confidence. Sudden legal setback. Emotional crash. It's a pattern that's replayed so many times it feels scripted, even when it isn't. That familiarity made the reactions harsher and more jaded. Meanwhile, empathy fatigue kicked in. Some viewers admitted they felt conflicted, sad about the situation, but exhausted by the repetition. When the same stories keep unfolding, people stop asking why and start asking how many times. That shift is subtle, but it changes everything. The conversation also exposed a deeper discomfort in hip-hop culture. Strength is celebrated. Tears are tolerated only in hindsight. In the moment, vulnerability gets punished. Pooh Shiesty didn't just face legal scrutiny, he faced cultural judgment for breaking character in public. As days passed, the outrage didn't disappear, it reorganized. Memes slowed, but commentary sharpened. People stopped laughing and started debating what this moment meant long-term. Was this a turning point? A warning? Or just another headline in a system that eats its own? By the end of this phase, the narrative had grown bigger than the arrest itself. It became about pressure, image, and how fast the internet turns real life into entertainment. And while timelines moved on, the weight of that moment didn't fade. It lingered, setting the stage for consequences that wouldn't be as quick or as funny. After the jokes slowed and the clips stopped autoplaying, the real consequences crept in quietly, like a notification you can't mute. This is the phase nobody memes, where headlines fade, but the weight stays. Because once the internet has had its fun, reality clocks back in and starts collecting payment with interest. For Pooh Shiesty, the image of confidence colliding with custody didn't just dent his comeback, it rewired how people talked about him. Not erased, not dismissed, reframed. Every future move would now be filtered through that moment when celebration turned into restraint and strength. Cracked on camera. Supporters held on tight, framing the tears as pressure finally spilling over. They argued that vulnerability doesn't cancel credibility, that real life doesn't pause just because the beat drops. To them, this wasn't weakness, it was humanity punching through a persona that had been armored for too long. But hip-hop culture is ruthless with perception. Vulnerability doesn't get graded on a curve. Once the image shifts, it rarely snaps back. Critics weren't loud anymore. They were patient, waiting to see if this moment would redefine him or be buried under the next. Viral distraction. Industry conversations shifted tone as well. Less hype, more caution. When legal clouds hang overhead, opportunities hesitate. Not canceled, delayed. Not denied, reconsidered. Momentum doesn't disappear overnight, but it does stall when uncertainty enters the room. The emotional footage lingered longer than the arrest details ever could. Not because people cared more, but because it challenged expectations. Fans aren't trained to see rappers process consequences in real time. And anything that disrupts that mythology sticks. Meanwhile, the public conversation matured in a colder direction. People stopped arguing and started labeling. Another cautionary tale. Another example. Another cycle. That's when you know sympathy is thinning. When a person becomes a pattern, empathy turns conditional. The irony of FDO hung in the air like unfinished business. Freedom-themed music, echoing against restricted reality, created a contrast too sharp to ignore. Not poetic, not symbolic, just uncomfortable. And discomfort doesn't age out of memory easily. Behind the scenes, the pressure likely intensified. Legal situations don't resolve on timelines optimized for virality. They drag, stretch, and test patience. The internet moves on fast, but the consequences don't scroll past, they sit with you. For fans, the moment forced reflection. Some questioned the culture's appetite for downfall. The debate wasn't loud anymore, it was introspective. And introspection doesn't trend. But it changes how people watch the next headline. What stood out most was how uneven accountability feels in moments like this. The system is heavy. The spotlight is unforgiving. And the audience is inconsistent. One misstep gets dissected. One emotional crack gets immortalized. And the person at the center has to carry all of it without the luxury of logging off. As time passed, the narrative didn't resolve. It stabilized. Pooh Shiesty wasn't erased from conversation, but he wasn't mythologized either. He became something more complex, more human, and in a culture built on invincibility. Humanity is risky branding. The long-term impact won't be decided by this moment alone. It'll be shaped by what comes after silence or strategy, retreat or recalibration. Comebacks aren't defined by how loudly they start, but by how carefully they're sustained. And that's the part viewers forget. Scandals feel explosive, but consequences unfold quietly. They don't announce themselves. They settle in. And when the next headline hits, freedom isn't just a status, it's a storyline. And when that storyline collides with reality, the echo lasts far longer than the noise that introduced it. And just like that, another rap moment gets stamped into history under this hit different in real time. What started as comeback energy flipped into a reality check so fast it gave the whole timeline whiplash. If this didn't make you pause the jokes and actually think for a second, then congratulations, you're officially numb to chaos. Now it's your turn to talk. Were those tears a crack in the armor, or proof that pressure eventually collects on everyone? Was the timing cruel coincidence, or the universe reminding us that freedom bars don't come with immunity? Drop your take in the comments, respectfully, recklessly, or brutally honest. We read it all. Smash that like button like it promised you freedom and showed up with handcuffs. Hit subscribe like you don't want to miss the next headline before it turns into a meme. Because over here, we don't wait for the blogs to catch up. We break it down while the story's still breathing. Rap doesn't come with a warning label, and neither does fame. One day you're trending for music, the next 4 moments you never planned to share. And when that happens, you already know where to be. Stay locked in. Stay sharp. And remember, when the celebration stops and reality clocks in, the rap truth is still here, telling the story nobody else wants to sit with.